Well, many countries place very tough tariffs on American goods, but the U.S. does nothing in response. Some members of Congress would like to change that. First among them is Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida, and he joins us tonight. Congressman, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Tucker.
What do you do about the trade imbalance? They're hurting us more than we're hurting them.
Well, we've got to have an Old Testament approach to trade, an eye for an eye. If a country is going to have, like China has a 25% tariff on our auto industry, our president needs the authority to be able to impose the same tariff back on China or any other country. India's got a 100% tariff on motorcycles, but we wouldn't dare do the same to them. To me, this won't lead to more tariffs. It'll lead to fewer tariffs, because if countries know that we'll do to us or to them what they do to us, I think then they'll be less likely to punish American businesses.
I don't even understand the reasoning on the other side. What could possibly be the justification for allowing that?
Of course, Tucker, there are establishment folks in the leadership of both parties that believe that free trade is the answer to everything in every circumstance, and that it shouldn't matter what it does to the American workers if multinational corporations can offshore their jobs. And ultimately, that's what has hollowed out the middle class in this country. But if we give the president the authority to have fairness in trade, then I think other countries won't be so quick to punish American businesses and make it easier for multinational companies to offshore those jobs.
But I'm confused. So you often hear people say, well, I'm for free trade. I'm against what they're proposing from the administration. But how is it free if the other side is keeping your goods out but selling his goods to you?
Well, most of the lobbying firms on K Street aren't working for the American worker. They're working for large businesses that want the opportunity to have the flexibility to move jobs where it's cheap. We think that we ought to put the American worker first. That's why, even though we're in a shutdown, the president is working hard on the Reciprocal Trade Act so that he will have the authority to simply impose the tariffs on other countries that they impose on us. I can't think of anything more fair than that.
It's hard to see what the argument is against it. So how many Democrats will you pick up in support of this?
Well, that will be the key question. A lot of these districts now are working class districts that Democrats won in the last election,
yes,
and they need to join us. And this will be a real test for those Democrats. Do they hate President Trump so much that they're willing to stand against the policies that will help middle class workers in their districts? It'll be interesting to see.
Is it really that straightforward? I just want to be clear that we know what this is. Is it that straightforward?
Of course.
We impose the tariffs that they impose on us. That's simple.
Or simply that we have the flexibility to impose them. If other countries knew that our president, at the snap of a finger, could impose the tariffs on those countries that they impose on us, they'd be less likely to do them. So giving the president that flexibility is what we want to do. But because Trump is the president, we're concerned that Democrats will line up against this common sense bipartisan proposal, just because anything that could help Trump advance the American worker is something Democrats don't want to give him the chance to do.
Where's the Chamber of Commerce on this?
They are opposed. The Chamber of Commerce, your typical K Street, big business entities are not going to stand in support of anything that makes it more difficult for them to move jobs out of America to places where jobs are cheap.
And is that their argument?
Yes.
Interesting. And of the Democrats who are against it, their argument is what?
Well, you know, they, I think, just make anti-Trump arguments rather than arguments as to the policy of reciprocal trade. And we have yet to see really what the Democratic strategy is on trade. Trump has tried to make better deals. He wants the flexibility to make those deals. Less of the globalist multinational arrangements, more bilateral trade where we actually have enforcement powers. Democrats have largely stood against that, even though these are policies in the past Democrats have supported because unions have supported them and other workers have supported them.
Like 20 minutes ago.
Right.
Interesting. It's interesting. Matt Gaetz, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tucker.
Congressman. We've run out of time, sadly.